These are wild times for Amazon sellers, and a lot of newbies are wondering, does it even make sense to get started right now? So let's look at the state of getting started on Amazon FBA in 2020, because there's more opportunity now than there has been in the past 4 or 5 years, but the way you have to get into that opportunity and break into this industry is completely different now. When most people talk about starting an Amazon FBA business, they're really talking about starting a physical product company or an e-commerce brand, and they're going to use Amazon as their main sales channel when they're first starting out. So let's first analyze the e-commerce industry and Amazon as a company, and just make sure that you're investing your time and energy in an area of the economy that's actually growing. This stat's going to surprise a lot of you, but right now in 2020, e-commerce makes up about 13% of all retail sales in the United States. That means about 1 out of every 7 physical products being purchased in the United States is being purchased online. You guys have known about Amazon for a very long time now, but the vast majority of money being spent is still going to traditional brick and mortar retailers. Most people are expecting this to change pretty quickly. E-commerce sales are expected to nearly double in the next 2 years alone, from $3.5 trillion a year to $6.5 trillion a year. And by the year 2040, just 20 years from now, experts are expecting nearly 95% of all physical product purchases to have some online component. So this number is going to double and double and double and double. And with the global quarantines forcing the final holdouts of traditional retail to embrace online shopping for pretty much everything, we're only going to see these trends accelerate over the next few years. And if anyone's going to get a piece of this massively growing pie, Amazon is the company best positioned to do it. About half of every dollar spent on e-commerce in the United States goes to Amazon. And despite being a $1 trillion company, these guys are growing so fast they cannot even keep up with it. Amazon just recently hired 100,000 new employees to help staff their warehouses, and they've just redesigned their entire website to actually make you spend less money. This matches all the data that we've seen inside of our own high-level mastermind for Amazon sellers. We've done a couple polls in there to see how everyone's sales have been doing since the coronavirus outbreak and all of the chaos of 2020. And as you can see, very few sellers experienced a decrease in sales. What's really incredible is just how many of them saw a significant increase in sales, with almost a third of the members of our mastermind group actually doubling their sales in the last 12 months. Those stats are going to surprise a lot of people listening, because so many people got so scared and froze up at the beginning of 2020 with the coronavirus and all the short-term chaos, when really you should have been hustling harder than ever before. Whether it's a pandemic outbreak or the Trump trade wars or just something going wrong with your supplier, there's always going to be wrenches that are thrown into your plans, and your job as a business person is to keep moving forward and knocking down those obstacles. Short-term chaos might cause you to reevaluate your plans and change your course of action, but as a business person and as a leader, you can never afford to just freeze up and stand still. Unfortunately, most entrepreneurs just don't have the guts to get started unless it's an absolutely surefire thing. They just don't want to take the risk. And because of that, I personally haven't seen so few new sellers getting started in this business since I started teaching this stuff way back in 2014. So right now, we have this huge flood of new customers going into Amazon, so much so that they've actually had to redesign their website to sell you less stuff. And at the same time, most new sellers are way too afraid. They are frozen in fear and refuse to even try to get started. So I really like this new dynamic that's being created for sellers here. Amazon and e-commerce are obviously going to be powerhouses for the next 10, 20 plus years. And for the first time in a long time, there's actually less competition for new sellers than there was last year. But the way you need to get started in this business has changed completely. So let's talk about how to break into this business now. What has changed? What do you need to do? What do you need to avoid to be successful as an Amazon seller starting in 2020? When we talk about building a business with Amazon FBA, we're actually talking about a few different business models, and they all differ just a little bit based on where we actually source the products from. Where do we get our inventory from? You've got retail and online arbitrage or flipping, where we're getting products from other sellers and retail stores and just selling those for a higher price somewhere else. So you might get products from the clearance section of your local Walmart. You might go to a garage sale or a thrift store. Some people even go to Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and get free product to flip from there. Whatever it is, you're simply just buying products for a cheap price somewhere and flipping them for a higher price somewhere else. And arbitrage is still a great way to get started in the e-commerce industry and make some extra money on the side. But when you're getting started with arbitrage, you're probably going to want to steer clear of Amazon altogether. You're probably want to steer clear of Amazon altogether. Amazon's recently gotten really strict when it comes to arbitrage sellers flipping other brands' products on their platform, and it's going to result in a lot of headaches for new arbitrage sellers. For instance, every product you flip, you're going to have to list as used instead of new just because you touched it. And there's certain brands like Legos and Adidas that Amazon will actually charge a $1,500 fee for the privilege to even do that. More and more, we see Amazon catering its platform to brand owners and throwing all the resellers to the curb. So if you're just getting started with arbitrage, you're probably going to want to stick to selling your products on a simpler marketplace like eBay when you're first getting started, and then advance onto Amazon once you get some more experience. And keep in mind that arbitrage is not really a scalable or reliable business. It's not like we're going to create a sellable company out of arbitrage. It's a great way to get started in the e-commerce business and start to make some extra money on the side, but you don't want to depend on it long term. Make sure you're investing your profits into a business model with a little bit more long-term upside and potential, such as the next one we're talking about here, which is wholesale. Selling products wholesale is you going to a company with an existing brand and existing customers and buying their product in bulk for a huge discount. Your wholesaler is going to set limitations on things like minimum pricing or marketplaces you can sell on, and you're basically going to be taking a cut for helping to build this brand up and sell its products to new customers. Honestly, it's very similar to flipping, but the numbers are much bigger. You need more money to get started. It's a little bit riskier. You got to buy these products in bulk, but you're going to have the permission of these brands to sell the products long term. And I'm a big fan of wholesale, but outside of Amazon. I think it's an awesome way. If you have an existing customer base and there's a lot of products they want that you don't sell, wholesale could be one of the best ways to really quickly expand your product catalog and sell more to those existing customers. However, as a way to get started in this business, I think wholesale is a horrible way to get started, especially on Amazon, because when it comes to wholesale, there's really only two ways to win: pricing and exclusivity. Pricing and exclusivity. Obviously, when you're buying product in bulk, the more money you spend, the better your price is going to be. So at the end of the day, whoever has the most money to throw at inventory is going to be able to undercut all the existing sellers and dominate the market for your product pretty much overnight. So you could spend months building up all the product listings for your wholesale empire, only to have some big seller or the brand owner themselves come in and just take those listings away from you overnight. I've seen this happen countless times on Amazon since I started selling way back in 2002. And you can check out my video on the product life cycle. I'll throw it in one of these corners here. That'll cover why this happens and how you can start to predict that. But the only way to beat the pricing conundrum of wholesale is exclusivity, where you're contractually the only seller allowed to sell in a certain region or a certain marketplace. Exclusivity is not easy to get, and it's typically pretty expensive. Usually you're going to have to sign a contract that commits you to a certain minimum amount of purchases every quarter or every year. So you might sign a contract that says, I am the only person allowed to sell this product or this brand on Amazon as long as I purchase at least $300,000 of product a year, whatever it is. Now, keep in mind, you can kind of fake it till you make it with this, because if you miss those sales targets, it's not like you're getting hauled off to prison or having to file for bankruptcy. You're just going to lose exclusivity. So if you're dead set on getting started with wholesale, start looking for brands that you already love and know you could sell well, but don't have a really established presence on Amazon yet. Reach out to them, start selling their product wholesale first, and then as you gain momentum and you build a better relationship with that supplier, you can eventually reach out to them and start to work out exclusivity deals too. If you can become the exclusive Amazon seller for these products and brands that you already know and love, you are going to make a boatload of money, and it's going to be pretty easy to do. But if you're selling the same products as everybody else, obviously it turns into a race to the bottom in terms of pricing and profit margin. And in that situation, whoever has the most money to throw at inventory is going to win. And even if you're successful with wholesale, eventually these brand owners are going to get smart and they're going to cut you out of the picture entirely. They're going to take over the product listings and they're just going to start sending product into Amazon themselves. It's happened to me and it's cost me a whole lot of money before. And now I make a lot of money helping other brands do exactly that. Kick all their wholesalers off the platform and take over Amazon for themselves. So listen, wholesale is great. I love wholesale. I do it myself. I make a lot of money with it, but I don't think it's a great way to get started in this business, and you can't really build a long-term Amazon FBA business just doing wholesale. To really build a stable multi-million-dollar Amazon FBA business, you have got to own the You've got to be in control of the brands and the products yourself. And that brings us to the most popular product sourcing method you'll see in relation to Amazon FBA, which is private label. The term itself, private label, has kind of lost its real meaning over the past few years, but all it means is some other company is going to produce products for you and you're going to sell those products under your own brand name. You can get into any level of product customization and development when you work with your manufacturers. And obviously, the more complex your customizations are, the higher your minimum order requirements are going to be. And this is where everybody starts getting into trouble because most people are focused on taking the least amount of risk possible and they end up making no customizations to the product at all. This is where you get into these Me Too products where you have hundreds of sellers selling the exact same product next to each other on the exact same marketplaces. But these sellers are treating private label like flipping or wholesale, and you're just not going to be successful that way. Now, back in 2014 or 2015, you could legitimately buy any decent quality product off of Alibaba and just flip that sucker on Amazon, start making money hand over fist. It was an absolute gold rush, and most of the courses and training out there today are still teaching you how to win back then. So still to this day, most people, when they hear private label, they think of selling generic silicone barbecue gloves or selfie sticks. And the truth of the matter is this version of private label isn't dead. It's been dead. It's been dead since 2016. I've been talking about this.
And an even better example too would actually be the silicone barbecue glove that we always make fun of. Now everybody is selling it. There's over 2,000 people selling the exact same product, right? When we start private labeling, we're going to put different features, different functions on the product to drive increased differentiation and create a real brand out of the product.
So please, for the love of God, do not get into the game of flipping generic junk from Alibaba onto Amazon. It's not what I would consider private label. It's not a good way to build a business, and it's not going to make you much money. So what is real private labeling then? Let's come up with a more advanced... Let's come up with a new term for the more advanced side of private labeling. We'll call it contract manufacturing. So contract manufacturing is you working with your manufacturers to customize your products, improve them, add product features, or maybe even come up with a new product altogether. A lot of people are going to start out in this business with a really simple private label product that they can get in really low minimum order quantities. Let's say it's a pre-made blend of coffee in a blank bag. It just has your logo on it. But behind your bag of coffee is going to be a store. There's going to be a mission, a reason that it even exists. This is your unique value proposition, what you offer to your customers that's different, unique from everybody else. And it's what most people are missing in this business. As your simple coffee brand and the idea behind it start to gain traction, you can use the cash flow and customer feedback that's being generated to start improving and customizing your product right off the bat. You're never going to stop people from coming in to compete for your customers, but you can move at a faster pace and give your customers a better purchasing experience than everybody else. At first, you're going to be selling something that feels very similar to a Me Too product, but it's going to be branded a little different and positioned a little bit different. The product that we first start selling is just going to be a shell of the vision of what we're trying to create, what's called the minimum viable product. And over time, as we gain more traction and more sales, we're going to make that full vision a reality, and your competitors are going to look back and wonder how you ever got there. For instance, you guys have probably heard of Death Wish Coffee. They're one of the most successful brands out there that started off as an Amazon seller, and they started off with an extremely simple private label product. The founder owned a failing coffee shop. He was trying to turn things around, and the one pattern that he recognized was people kept on coming in to ask him for the strongest cup of coffee that he had. He spent a few hours researching and realized that if he just mixed in espresso beans with his normal coffee beans, he'd have a really potent, strong blend of coffee. People were already offering espresso beans on Amazon, but no one was really positioning it towards the mainstream caffeine junkie that was coming into his coffee shop. So he cooked up an eye-catching logo and built a really simple brand around that unique value proposition, and that's how Death Wish Coffee was born. By starting with such a simple private label product, they were able to keep their costs low, their minimum order quantities low, while they tested that unique value proposition that some people want a cup of coffee so strong they must have a Death Wish. And as that UVP gained traction and popularity, Death Wish continued to improve everything about the product. The beans, the roasting process, the packaging, the purchasing experience itself. Looking at Death Wish Coffee today, it's hard to believe that you could ever compete with these guys. They've got a proprietary roasting process, caffeine-infused beans. I mean, we're talking about guys that have their own Super Bowl commercial here.
My brothers, what is life if not to die a glorious death? Awaken and welcome death!
Death Wish Coffee, fiercely caffeinated.
But at the end of the day, what actually draws people in and makes sales, the Death Wish brand and its simple mission, is almost exactly the same as the day they launched. So the point I'm trying to make here is private label and contract manufacturing, they blend together quite a bit, and you're going to be using them both as you roll new products and brands out to your customers. Ideally, you can start off with very simple private label products, keep those minimum order quantities low, and then launch those to test your underlying brand story and unique value proposition. Once you start gaining traction around those things, a lot of the risk and uncertainty in this business is removed. So you can start moving away from private label and into contract manufacturing, slowly making more and more improvements to your product over time. This is how you escape Me Too product hell, stay ahead of the competition, and actually have a business that's fun to work on, where you can stay focused on improving your customers' lives rather than focusing on what other sellers are doing. Let me give you one more example of how you might start with a simple private label product and then move into contract manufacturing as you gain traction. Let's say you catch the flu, and while you're sick, you realize that there's this massive untapped market of people who want an organic version of emergency and airborne. So you go out searching for a company that manufactures organic vitamin C, and you find a few manufacturers that are really good and really impress you. So maybe your ideal version of this product is organic vitamin C along with a bunch of other herbs and supplements that are all great to take while you're sick. But to do that product would be much more expensive. It would be much riskier, because to do that blend that the manufacturer doesn't have yet, that's going to be a much higher minimum order quantity. So maybe you start off with a very simple, just an organic vitamin C, and as you gain traction around the brand and the unique value proposition and what you're building, you can reinvest your profit back in and start to develop a really customized blend that nobody else has. If your assumptions about the brand itself and the underlying value proposition are correct, you're going to start making sales and gain traction around those. Then you just continue working with your manufacturer. Each and every order, you do a little bit more customization, and within a few orders, you're going to have a product that nobody else can even compete with. So this mix of private label and contract manufacturing, I think this is the way to get into this business. It's the best way to build a physical product brand or an Amazon FBA business, but you've got to be aggressive with product development and customer engagement to win in this game. Now, when you're getting into building physical product brands, there's a few things you have to keep in mind in 2020 and beyond. First of all, you've got to be really careful where you get your ideas from these days. Most people get into this business looking for the least risky and the quickest way to start making money, and they end up selling the exact same Me Too products as everybody else and making no money. You can't rely on historical data from tools like Jungle Scout or Helium 10 to show you what next year's hot product is going to be. All of this data is from the past, and it can be really helpful to make good decisions, but it doesn't necessarily predict the future. Instead, you guys should be focusing on passion products that you wish existed and work to bring those into the world. Your passion is going to shine through, and your customers are going to notice. It's finally going to allow you to build the audience you need to really build a sustainable and successful business. We're still going to use product research tools like Helium 10 and Viral Launch to help us make good decisions, but going after the products that those tools recommend is going after the most saturated Me Too products of next month. And speaking of audiences, the second thing you've got to have in this business is an audience or the ability to create demand. A few years ago, you could literally just toss random products on Amazon, and if they were decent quality, you would start getting great reviews, you would start rising in the rankings, and you would make a lot of money. But now, even if you have a great product and a great brand, you've got to have the ability to drive buyers on demand to have success in this business. An example of this one would be Old School Labs. They're a supplement company that does this really, really well. They've got a really engaged customer community on social media that's always looking for flash discounts. So anytime Old School Labs wants to launch a new product or drive up their rankings, they just hop on social media and offer up a flash discount. They do this with every new product launch, but you can also see them doing it right before major sales events like Black Friday or Prime Day. So they're able to drive reviews and increase their rankings on demand, and it makes it really difficult to compete with them. These are the types of strategies that you want to be focused on in 2020. Not just depending on Amazon for all of your sales, but figuring out how can you build an audience and leverage that audience to launch your new Amazon products and improve your rankings. If you're trying to launch Death Wish Coffee, maybe you start a YouTube channel or an Instagram where you review the strongest forms of coffee available right now while you prepare to launch a much better version of your own. own. That way you could build an audience around your unique value proposition even before you had the product to launch. For the organic, emergency, or airborne, maybe you just go into existing Facebook groups and start to have conversations with people about why the current version isn't good enough. If it's old school labs, maybe you go and create a Facebook group of like-minded people that agree that the old school version of bodybuilding is better and we're all gonna bring it back together. Yeah. No matter what channels or mediums you use, the strategy is essentially the same. Figure out what your unique value proposition is, what is your mission, why does your brand or your product even exist, and then start to gather like-minded people and build a community. Have conversations, engage with them, and you can slowly build them into a community of raving fans that are ready to help you when it comes to launch products or improve your ranking. Even if you just did this as a soft launch while your product was still coming soon, your logo and your branding and everything, that's still gonna be trademark protected, at least in the United States. It's just gonna be an unregistered trademark rather than a registered one. And your customers are not gonna be nearly as turned off as you might think. In my experience, these types of communities end up generating so much customer feedback that you need when you're launching this type of business. They'll give you feedback on things like logo design, packaging design, product features, and these groups also create lifelong fans. You want your customers to feel a shared sense of ownership with your products and your brand, and it's really tough to do, but this is a great way to do it. And then obviously, whenever it comes time to launch your products or even bump your ranking up before Black Friday or Prime Day, you can just lean on this community and they'll be happy to help. And this customer community is gonna be a huge asset for you no matter which way your business goes. Yeah, we can use it to drive up Amazon sales and launch new products, but let's say you decide that your product, it's better to just do the fully customized version off the bat and you wanna spend $10,000 on your first order. Well, how do you raise that kind of money? Maybe you wanna do a crowdfunding campaign or a Kickstarter or something. You can use this customer community to fund that Kickstarter campaign, deliver the products, figure out manufacturing, and then once again, later down the road, once it comes time to launch this thing on Amazon, you can lean on them again and they'll still be happy to help. So having this customer community, this asset where you can drive fresh demand that you control to any platform you want, this is real business ownership, and this is how you make sure you're not a slave to Amazon. You can get started with this very early and it's free to do, just building a customer community around your brand mission while your products are still coming soon. And if you can't figure out how to build any engagement or have any conversations around your brand's mission before you have any products, it's probably a good sign that you need to go back to the drawing board and work on your unique value proposition and your brand mission first. The last thing you want to keep in mind is that Amazon is not a business model. It's just a sales channel. What we're really doing here is creating a physical product brand. Yes, we're going to use Amazon as our main sales channel, and we're also going to use Amazon FBA as our fulfillment network to actually get our products to the customer. But don't get trapped thinking you're just an Amazon seller. Don't get trapped thinking small. Build a physical product brand that can stand strong on its own on any platform, whether it's eBay, Amazon, or even on the store shelf of the local Walmart. Once your product's up and selling on Amazon, you're going to want to go multi-channel and get it listed on every marketplace you can anyways. So don't get stuck depending on Amazon's promotional tools alone. Learn how to build a strong physical product brand that stands out to your target customer, and then start to build a community of raving fans around your mission, your vision, and what you do. You can no longer get rich on Amazon just selling generic junk you got off of Alibaba, but there's never been a better time to launch a real physical product brand from scratch, and you can use Amazon and their FBA warehouses to make the process dead simple when you're getting started. As long as you have a product that people actually want and the ability to generate just a little bit of fresh demand, you still have the opportunity to build a multi-million-dollar physical product brand on Amazon right now. So hopefully this video helps you guys do that. I have a bunch of new content coming out about getting started with the Amazon FBA, so make sure you subscribe to the Startup Bros YouTube channel if you haven't already. The StartupBros.com website is also filled with a ton of massive guides about how to get started on Amazon FBA. I'll attach some of those in the description. And guys, leave a comment below. I'll be answering all the questions down there. Let me know where you're at in your business. Did you hit the pause button? What do you guys need help with right now? So I'll see you guys in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.